Welcome to another episode of We Are Never Truly Alone. I am Tiffany Rice, and today I have a very good friend of mine, Laura Kenney. How are you?
I'm good, girlfriend. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad that I finally get you on. I know we've been working so hard with our schedules. Not working.
Yeah. For like months.
Exactly. And I'm like, first of all, I know that you have been so busy with the Bad Wives Club, which is your podcast, which is amazing.
Thank you. So yes, I am a co-host of the Bad Wives Club. So go and check it out.
Yes.
But we had you on a couple months ago, which was amazing.
Gosh. Yes. I love your setup. I love how you guys can just pull it together, because I feel like with me, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do, So I'm so happy that you're part of that now. And I definitely feel like that's brought on like so much more awareness to so many young mothers, not just young mothers. I shouldn't say that, but it's just moms in general. Mm-hmm. And then the one reason why I did want to have you on, because I will have the girls on.
Yes.
That's a promise. I'm going to have the girls on. But one thing that everybody at home may not know is that you are part of a company called LunchDates.
Yes.
So in the whole idea of love and Valentine's Day, I said, Laura, let's get you on.
Yes.
Let's talk about it, because that seems to be such a hot topic right now.
Oh my God.
The matchmaking.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell me what is this kind of like the apps, right? Like the apps you go on Bumble. Mm-hmm. I've been on Bumble straight up. I'll tell you. Yep. And, so is it kind of like Bumble, but in real time?
No.
Okay. So what is this all about?
No. So I have been matchmaking. It's going to be 11 years in March, which is just crazy, like mind blowing to think, because also dating in general, the trends have been changing over the past 10 years.
Yes.
When I first started doing matchmaking, it was predominantly 50s and 60-year-olds, divorcees. They worked in the burbs, lived in the city, and they had no other avenue of meeting people. But now over the past 5 years, my bread and butter are 30 and 40-year-olds.
I can imagine.
Yes, because they don't want to keep swiping, and they're not having success online doing it. Don't get me wrong. Have I had people that are like, oh my God, I went out on Match, I met this great guy. I told one of my girlfriend's cousins to sign up for Tinder. First guy she went out with, she ended up marrying him.
Stop it.
Yes. So I always say, like, there are 1,000,010 avenues to get out there and meet people. Number one, you just have to do the work and actually take initiative to do it. And number two, like, it's just a matter of how often do you want to be dating? Do you want to be swiping and going on a ton of first dates and messaging everybody? Or do you want a matchmaker to take control and just do it for you?
So, okay, guys, I have a confession. All right. I have a confession. I actually at one point went through Laura to see if I could find a match.
That's right.
Because I was really nervous about doing the apps. And it took me, I'm day late, dollar short when it comes to the apps. I did do the apps for like 1 month. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Bumble, and then I let go of that. But I turned to you because I said, there's a certain quality that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Is there any way you can help me? So could you if somebody was interested in getting in touch with you, like, could you walk us through kind of what you ask for? Like, is there certain things that...
Oh, absolutely.
Because I can tell my story, but...
Yeah, with Andy. That's right, with Andy.
Yes.
Yep. And everybody is so different that walks through the door. And I think that's one of the fun parts with what I do. And same with you too, is that everybody's different. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different visions. Everybody's trying to achieve something different in life. It's not cookie cutter. So I think predominantly the biggest things that I want to know about my clients that are walking through the door is like, A, are you serious? You're not just coming to me looking for a rebound, right? You're not coming to me just to get out there and date. Like, you are looking for your partner, which is huge. And I think that's one of the reasons why my clients in their 30s and 40s are getting in relationships so much faster, knowing that other person is fully vetted. And number two, that they have the same goals and is looking for the same things that they are.
Yes, it's so important because it's nice to have that middleman, because when you don't have the middleman, that's when it's almost kind of like, well, they didn't really specify if they wanted to have kids. Yeah. Or they didn't really tell me if they're just looking for fun or if they're really looking for a relationship.
Yeah. Or if they want to stay in Massachusetts, or if they're, an avid traveler that wants to leave once a month, or if they're allergic to dogs, and those are all of the things that we ask during our really detailed interview. So by the time my clients show up on that date and they're sitting across the table from somebody, they already know those boxes are checked. They know what their goals are. They know they're looking for a long-term relationship. They know everything else. It just comes down to the chemistry. And I feel like dating in general too, I always joke with my clients. I'm like, first dates nowadays, they're not first dates. You don't want anybody to pick you up because you're afraid they're going to be like some serial killer, right?
Right.
So first dates nowadays are just saying like, hey, can I be in the same room as you? Am I attracted to you?
Right.
Does our conversation flow and not get all awkward within the first 30 minutes?
Right.
And now those second dates are more of what traditional first dates were. Like, hey, I had a great time. How about Saturday? I'll pick you up. There's this great sushi place. I know you told me you love sushi. Great.
And I'm going to tell you, you are so good too, because when I did, Laura did set me up with someone. We've been on a couple dates. Yeah. It ended up not going in the direction that we wanted it to go in. But during that time frame, I would call you and say, okay, so what do you think's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
And you would kind of help guide me
100%.
To realize like, okay, well, make sure you speak up. Or make sure you say, hey, I do want to go out. I do want to do this. Or let's do something fun and active.
Yes.
So it's so important to have such like clear communication and guidance. Yeah.
And it's so funny because it's not, I don't want to say super similar to you, but you are that guiding force too with your clients. And I am too. And I even hate to say that people in dating need a guide, because it shouldn't be like that, unfortunately, but some people need that extra confidence boost, especially nowadays if they're on the apps and they're swiping and they are being vulnerable, but they're not getting the results that they want. It gets to a point where you get discouraged and you're like, fuck that. Like, I don't want to put myself out there anymore.
Right.
I don't want to be vulnerable with my client or with my dates, because I don't want, for them to say, sorry, I'm not interested.
Right. So, I mean, and I think that's the thing with dating apps. I've heard so many like horrible stories from my friends. Like, wait, are we dating the same guy? Or,
oh my gosh.
This guy is married. Like, I remember a couple times I was looking and I saw my friend's husband on there. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know they were separated. And my friends were like, they're not.
Oh my God, what a dirty little dog.
I know. And then there was one where I saw one of my friends who's a guy. He was there with his friend. And I'm like, I screenshot it and I'm like, wait, I didn't know you're on Bumble. And he's like, I'm not. It's my friend. I go, but isn't your friend married? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? I go, I really feel like I should just stay in my little home, adopt another dog. And, because you get to that point. So it's great that you have, an outlet like LunchDates where you are actually putting in the work and that other person is putting in
equal amount of work.
Yeah, because it's not, to be clear, guys, I want to be fully transparent. You don't just like sign up and you don't just like fill out a form and that's it. Like, you actually have to pay to be part of LunchDates. So it is like, I feel like when you start putting like a monetary value on your life, you see things a little bit differently and you see things more seriously.
Yeah.
Because some of those dating apps, I did pay for like the next level up, but in some of those dating apps, a lot of times you get like a 30-day free trial or something like that.
That's how they get you hooked, but and it is an investment, absolutely, because we do a lot of work too to make sure that we're setting you up with the right people. We have the right resources to get out there and have a big enough pool for you.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when people are like, wow, it's such an investment, like, is this going to work? And I always joke, I'm like, I can't predict chemistry. I would be a gazillionaire right now at this point if I could.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I will introduce you to people that, once again, check all of your boxes. And then it's up to you guys to do the rest of the work.
Yes. Well, just like with anything in life, it's like, okay, we're going to give you the resources. Now you have to utilize that.
Exactly.
So all you guys that are listening at home, if you can learn what your love language is, whether it is personal touch, acts of service, gifts and rewards, quality time,
words of
affirmation. Those are the 5.
Yeah.
So if you can identify what that is, and then if you understand what your partner's love language is,
it's amazing.
It works, but you have to be able to know it, you know?
And put the work in too, you know, and I feel like most men's love languages are physical touch.
Right.
You know, and it's so funny because I was talking about this with the girls the other day, and we can say thank you to our partners a million times or that we appreciate them. But at the end of the day, you need to learn what their love languages are, because I could quickly I could say thank you a million times, but you got to also show your appreciation.
Right.
And I think that that's really important in a relationship, is to learn what their love languages are and also what triggers them.
Exactly.
What makes them resentful, what gets under their skin. I mean, my husband and I just had a talk. We've been together for 11 years about this, you know, so I feel like it's also always evolving.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's okay to evolve. It's okay to change it up a little bit, you know.
But the mental health when it comes to dating too, I think especially after throwing a pandemic and, you know, having a lot of clients that are right now in their 30s or 40s that did put their love lives on the back burner and were jumping full force in. I think it's really tough. I just had a client, for example, who I had to say, you know what, girlfriend, I think we need to take a pause. Like, are you talking to anybody? And it's a really uncomfortable conversation for me to have. And I'm very kind of like intense like you. And I may not sugarcoat everything.
You little Taurus.
Well. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, these are the facts. Like, you are not being the best version of yourself on a date. And you made this investment. And I feel bad taking your money right now because you are not setting yourself up for success on these dates. So I had to have a talk with her like, okay, girlfriend, let's reprioritize, because I think you need to focus on yourself before I can continue setting you up with these amazing people and having it not work out.
And I'm so glad that you said that to her, because hopefully that was just something that she needed to hear, where it was like, oh my gosh, I get it.
Yes.
Because I distinctly remember having a conversation with you when we were dating, and you're like, you've never dated? And I go, no, I just jumped into a relationship. And she goes, as if I'm you go. Laura says to me, she says, you need to date.
Yeah.
You need to get out there. And I'm like, I've gone on like 1 or 2 dates with someone, and then they end up being my boyfriend. So I've never. So when we go back to what I said about my personal life and how I'm taking things super slow, it's almost like nails on a chalkboard for me, because I'm just not used to it, but I know that I have to go through this process.
You need to learn what it is that you don't like. Actually, I was just on the phone with my client who's a widow right before you showed up. She's amazing, Sharon. I love her with all of my heart. And she's a hot little ticket. Her husband passed 3 years ago, and she's been on 1 date since then. And she went out with this lovely guy last night, and they had a great time. You know, of course, she's a little weary and, you know, is going to kind of question everything a little bit extra. But I was like, that's okay to question things. You know, always be mindful and aware of what makes you feel good and what doesn't make you feel good. But like, if it's just uncomfortable because you've never experienced something like that again, go out on a second date. You walked away smiling. You know, she's like, yes, I got in that car and I had a smile from ear to ear. And I'm like, absolutely. But I'm like, go out on a second date, because even if he's not the one, you're still getting experience under your belt.
Yes.
You know, you're getting those second date jitters again, like all of that stuff. Every single date, I feel like, is a learning experience.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yes, being brutally honest with my clients, sometimes to a fault, but I genuinely want people to be successful. And I just feel like sometimes when you're talking to your friends about your dating life, they're going to sugarcoat shit because they probably told you a million times, don't do X, Y, and Z. Don't do X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Don't do X, Y, and Z. But it's my job to be your friend, but also as a professional, be like, let's cut the shit. You need to focus on yourself. He's not calling you back because you've texted him 10 times because you've got weird attachment like, what is it? Like attachment, oh God, issues.
Yeah. I get it. I know.
The nervous attachment.
Yes.
So I was like, calm down.
Exactly. And that's it. I always say, and that's the thing, but it's true. Like, there's so many different levels. Like, I guess the other question that I have for you would be, like, what would you, if someone came to you to, you know, get set up, what could they expect? Like, how quickly does this work?
Oh my gosh. So there are times, majority of the time, by the time my clients come to me, they're ready to go, you know, because we don't do any cold calling. So majority of my clients come from referrals where they know somebody who's met through me, or they're out at a bar and they're talking to somebody who's gone on a date through me. So when they call, they're like, okay, like, I want the Laura magic. What is this? Like, let's go. So first we do a full-on interview. I like to do it via Zoom just so I can see their face. I want to feel their energy. That takes about an hour, but it's fun. We go over every single question about them, like literally everything, like where they grew up, their siblings, where they live, where they went to school, what they like to do for fun, what they're attracted to. But it's also fun because we talk about their past relationships. So
those are so fun.
I know. But I also, but I also need to know what's worked for them and what hasn't. Because shit, if their ex was a workaholic that worked 50 hours a week, then you bet your ass I'm not going to set them up with another workaholic because it could trigger them. Right. Who knows, whatever. They're going to start that relationship being resentful. So if there are certain things like a drinking problem or anything else, but we go over those past relationships, what's worked, what hasn't, and then really we jump in from there. I mean, I've been doing this forever where when we're doing the interview, I'm already thinking of matches for them. Like that's the fun part. My wheels are cranking. I'm thinking about it. So usually I'll give them a call either that day or I'll go over the next day. I'll tell them about their first match, get dates of availability, and then I have them out like as soon as that weekend.
See, I love it. And it's so funny because people will say, they would always say to me, like, just go on dates, go on all these dates. And I'm like, that's like an anxiety attack waiting to happen for me. Like, because now, and it's funny because I feel the older that we get, the more, like, I like being like nice, warm and cozy. And so for me to get out and go like meet somebody, it would be me getting dressed up, me doing something with myself.
I know. So getting the outfit ready. Actually, tip for that.
What would be a good outfit for a first date?
So tip for first dates, I always say have one solid first date outfit that you feel sexy, confident in, comfortable in. So that way when you are jumping in and starting to date, there isn't that wonder of like, oh shit, what do I wear tonight? Because you have that clutch first date outfit that you know rocks it.
That's such a good.
So put that together in your closet and just always go back to it because shit, if they're first date outfits, people aren't going to know that you wore that on your first date last week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah. So you don't know.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Because look good, feel good. You know, you don't want to get ready for that date and be like, oh my God, what do I wear? And then you start off that day like all frazzled.
Exactly. Exactly. Any other tips you can share with us?
So I hate to say it, but sometimes it's situational. So for example, my rule of thumb is, especially nowadays, like first dates, you think, oh my God, we closed the restaurant down. We spent an hour together, or we spent, 10 hours together. That was amazing. I'm like, yeah, but 10 hours, like you probably had way too many drinks. You probably word vomited way too much. You overshared. And quite frankly, you left nothing of mystery for that second date. But on the flip side, you could have that just crazy firework chemistry where you want to spend 10 hours together and yet you still leave them, yearning to want more.
Right.
So it kind of depends on the people.
Okay.
And then for example, sometimes I'm like, you don't want to scare people away and talk about your exes or your past relationships. But then there are the people that can show up on a first date and have it feel so natural where they can be fully transparent and intentional and tell them how they feel and what they've been through. And it works off well,
I totally understand that. So it is situational.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I've been listening to someone as they kind of had diarrhea of the mouth of like, oh, and then this happened and that happened. And I'm like, whoa, this is a first date. Oh, okay. That's kind of a lot, but okay. Just trying to be supportive.
Yeah.
And then I've been on
dates where you just word vomit together and
right,
you're like,
exactly.
Wow, like they get me.
Exactly.
Like, oh my God, we are on the same page, like this crazy chemistry, like I can't wait to see them again. So it really, like, being socially aware, I think is huge. And I think it's something that not a lot of people unfortunately have these days. But like, please, when you are dating, like, understand your date's emotions. Read their body language. Are they in it? Are they not?
Yes. Well, I know. I'm so good at reading everybody else, but when it comes to like if people are interested in me, I'm like, I don't know.
We'll see. So funny because my mom, actually, I helped her introduce her to her husband.
Wow.
Yes, and she's a therapist. And when people would see that on apps and go on a date with her, she's like, Laura, I'm literally giving out free therapy advice. And I'm like, I could totally see that. And that's when I told you. before your first date, I was like, just be wary with what you say that you do professionally, because I don't want people to get attached and open up and waste your time, you know, having you just being a working date. Like, that's not fair.
Girl, what I do could be my own show.
Yeah.
And
it is.
I mean, it's funny because I said, well, on paper, I'm like a, whatever age I'm at, fortune teller. Well, I'm not, but you know what I mean? Like, you guys know me as Tiff, and you guys see the beauty of it all and like who I am as a person. But for those that do not know me, if I had to write it down on paper, I'd write my age and then spirit medium.
Yeah.
Or fortune teller. And a lot of people that don't understand the awareness of it, where it's like, well, yes, I am that, but I'm also an author. I'm also, I've created a jewelry line. I've created a corporation on being able to help people through grief.
It's your brand.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But on paper, people would see it as Tiffany Rice, fortune teller.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this just doesn't sound. So it's so hard. Yes. So I totally can relate to your mom.
I know. And the same with like the social workers, anybody who's got like a background like that, even a doctor, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I might just sugarcoat it when I'm explaining people to them, because I don't want people to go on a date thinking like, oh, this is so-and-so, or like, because nowadays people have just weird intentions too.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly.
Speaking of fortune tellers, you know what's crazy is we got Chinese food on Sunday and I opened up my fortune cookie and there was no freaking fortune in there.
What do you think that means?
I don't know. I told Kev, I was like, because all my fortunes are in real life. Like, what more could I ask for?
I love
like,
that.
What more guidance? Like, I really do. Like, Liz, Libby, and I were talking about this the other day. I'm like, I truly feel like full and complete right now. When I was trying to think of New Year's resolutions, you know, I'm like, I don't know, maybe not get Taco Bell so often. I don't know, but like, then what's balance?
Can I just say, so Laura, you have to follow Laura on Instagram, but she'll always post like going to Taco Bell. And the most recent post, I was like, I think I need a combo pack immediately. I had to get like, after one of my shows, I was so hungry and it was a late night. So I was like, nothing was open except Taco Bell.
Love it.
And I ended up getting like all this Taco Bell and I was inhaling it. And then the next morning, my stomach was like, what did you do?
Yeah. I was like, maybe not DoorDash so much, but it was so weird opening that up and not seeing a fortune in there. I was like, am I doomed? I'm like, wait, no. Like, it's too good right now to be doomed.
Your life is amazing. Your life is amazing. So wait, can you share like, how did you meet Kev?
So, funny story.
Oh, do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, no, not at all. I love it.
Okay.
So, we actually met on Match. And this was before I became a matchmaker.
Wow.
And so this is also one of the things too. All these girls play these games of, I want a man that's going to take charge. I want a man that's going to reach out to me and set up a first date. No, you do not, because then those guys will message you or plan a first date and you're like, oh, he is such a pushover. He must not have any life if he's taking charge and doing all this, you know? Trust me, I hear it on the flip side all the time. So he looked at my profile but didn't send me a message, and I kind of got pissed. So I DM'd him and I said, so you're going to look but you're not going to message me?
Yes.
And that was that from there. He's like, I'm sorry, I was on a hike with my dog. Total BS.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. He still says that he really was till this day. But he's like, I was going to message you when I got home. I'm like, okay. But crazy thing is that we ended up running into each other and crossing paths in downtown Crossing the day before we were actually really supposed to meet.
So did you recognize each other at that point?
He recognized me. Yeah. And we were texting at the time and he's like, wait a minute. He's like, did you just walk past the Chipotle on School Street? And I was like, oh my God, I've got a stalker. I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I gotta go. And I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now 11 years later,
I know.
Two babies.
It's crazy. Yeah. So that's why when it comes down to like these stupid, silly rules of who should message first, who's going to text message first.
I hate that.
You know what? If you see something that you like, life is too short nowadays and there's 1,010,000 other options. So if you don't take charge and reach out and say, hey, I'm interested, you know, what's good? What do you got going on Saturday? Then you can't get mad.
Right.
Take charge.
See, I'm always the take charge. I'm the initiator, you know? So I'm always because I like that clear communication.
Yep.
But I know sometimes I have to be patient and wait. But
yes, but patience is good. But because when the girls are like, I always take charge, I always take initiative, I'm always a planner. And I said, that is okay. And I know you want that in a partner. But if you do it in the first times and create that like safe space for him, you know, he will take charge. And once again, communicate it.
Right.
You know, say, this is what I'm looking for. And I bet your ass half of the time he will step up to the plate and do it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it happen.
Yes.
You know, I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
So bringing a little bit of the spirituality into
yes,
it.
I love it.
Okay. So do you find, I know we kind of touched base a little bit about this, where when is the right time to date, but I feel it's when you start to really truly love yourself unconditionally and accept yourself for your personal best and your flaws. And so do you find a lot of people that are really fully connected, mind, body, soul, when they're contacting you? Do you find that more so?
Yes.
More so, or do you find there's a lot of people? Are you easy? Do you have your intuitive radar on?
Oh, 110%. I mean, when I'm asking them questions about their ex, and if they're coming at me like they clearly have not done the work to get over it, I'm like, okay, girlfriend, you need to call a therapist, not me.
Right.
Because if you have those resentments towards your ex right now, heaven forbid I set you up on a date, you're just gonna unleash those there. But yeah, I also think, as we know, our mind, body, and soul, like, and our hearts, they're always evolving. Like, it's not something like you do the work and you're like, I'm healed, I'm a full version of myself and I love myself and I'm ready for love. Like, no, it's constantly always changing. But once you can be comfortable in your own skin and comfortable in the fact of getting out there, being vulnerable and being your true version of yourself at that moment, that's when you're going to have the most success. And a lot of people will call me up and be like, hey, my therapist told me I need to do this. And I'm like, yes, like go tip your fucking therapist.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
Because they realize that things won't change if things won't change, and it starts with you. It's just so funny because I find that women, we need time to like heal, process, you know, gather our thoughts, where men, they just jump back into it like 5 days later.
Yeah. So
they have no chill. They cannot be alone.
No, well, especially like, so my uncle, he's older. He's 80 now, but he was with he was with my aunt for years. They have two grown children that are like in their 40s and 50s and so forth. And so my aunt had cancer and she passed away. And after she passed away, he ended up dating someone within 3 months. And now he's remarried. And I swear, this happens a lot. And you probably hear it. I see it in my readings. They'll always say, like, the kids will contact me and they're like, does my mom know what my dad did? He's dating someone already. You know, like, does my mom in spirit know what my dad did? And I'm like, you have to understand, like, that's all he knows. Like, he needs someone. He needs a personal assistant.
Yeah, men don't know how to be alone.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to be alone all this time, and then all of a sudden they don't.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, wait a minute, no, yeah. Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side, and it's not. It's where you water it. So just take note and really, really, like, nourish those relationships.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And love yourself first.
Yes.
Because when you love yourself first, you're going to be a good indicator of what you will and will not put up with.
100%. And also just don't be scared or thrown off if you start to change and start to question again, like, you know, what are my goals? What's changing in the world? Like, you know, because like I said, we're always evolving. There are things to be learned. There's emotional work and mental work that always constantly needs to be done. It's never fulfilled. Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, you know, I like that. I like that. Any other last tips or any, like, for the Lonely Heart Club group?
Yeah, the Lonely Heart Club.
Right? A lot of us are going to be celebrating Valentine's Day this year. So is there any, like, words of advice or one long-lasting tip besides like that? Because I feel like
open up.
Yes.
Open yourself up, because you ain't going to receive anything if you're closed off.
Get rid of those walls, girls.
Yes.
Get rid of them.
When you are when this is the biggest and number one exercise I give my date coaching clients, and this is it. And yes, it sucked when we had to wear masks, but now that those days are long gone, when you are walking down the street, if you see somebody, it could be the same sex, I don't give a shit who it is. When you see somebody and they make eye contact with you, smile.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't hurt you, it doesn't hurt them, but you're opening yourself up to receive love back, whether it comes in the version of a friend, a partner, a lover, you know, whatever. So just open yourself up, and I promise that your time will come and that person will walk through the doors, and you'll realize why it never worked out with anybody in the past.
Oh, I love that.
So,
and it's all energetic too.
it is.
Because once you smile, it's that energy that you create. I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, and you probably just made that person's day, you know, and they'll hopefully spread the love too. But it starts within. So start smiling more, making eye contact.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to us.
Yes.
And Laura, thank you so much. How can people find you? Tell them where they can find you on the Bad Wives Club and LunchDates and Instagram, anywhere. Yeah, you.
So you can go ahead and find me. I'm on Instagram at Laura Kenney, EY _ and then also Bad Wives Club podcast on Instagram as well. But yeah.
Thank you so much. And remember, guys, if you are spending your Valentine's Day with the one you love or just loving yourself, just know that love is always going to remain. Love is always going. La la la. Love is always infinite, and the love that you put out is the love that you're going to receive.
Yes. And actually, for your listeners too, I will do, if anybody's in the New England area, I could do like a promotion, do like $300 off if they reach out to me.
Wow.
Through LunchDates. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
So I'll remember that. Whenever you call in, just say that you listen to Tiff and Laura on the podcast. Yeah, we're never truly alone. And I would love to offer that.
Thank you, girl.
You're so welcome.
See, sharing the love. Sharing the love.
Spread it, baby. Spread it.
Spread it. Open up and say ah. All right.
Bye, guys.